Greetings. I'd like to tell a story about a character I'll never forget. A sarchosuchus named Bubba. But before we begin, a little background is needed to help set the scene. Best I can tell, sometime around November the 22nd of 2024, the founder of Alderaan, the great chief architect, the master, and the genius who brought forth the grand design known as Path of Titans, aka Matt, had graced us mere mortals with the solo critter test, also known as the perma-death server. Meaning, if the animal you're playing as dies, it stays dead. Therefore, no room for error. Additionally, the chat was disabled, so our only means of communication was to use the wheel of vocal calls or try to read the body language of the other players. This would be my first experience with multiplayer. Not the officials, not the community servers, but the test server that punishes you outright if you don't know how to survive. Call me crazy if you want, starting off on hard mode of all things, but I loved the concept as it provided a visceral challenge that promoted the incentive to stay alive by any means necessary. Prior to the creation of Bubba, the very first dino I played was a Styracosaurus, who was skittish and jumpy at every little noise, who maintained a low profile and actively hid from every player I encountered. Because prior to playing Path of Titans, I did my research, and I had learned that even the herbivore players can be homicidal maniacs. However, I had forgotten one very crucial lesson. Beware the water. Nothing quite prepares you for the heart-pounding horror of a prehistoric terror bursting out of the water to snatch and drag you to a death without mercy within the depths below. At this time, I was well aware of the less than stellar reputation of Sarco players, and thus I had an idea. What if I played a sarchosuchus that was genuinely peaceful, friendly, and chill? And so, Bubba was born. In the early stages of growth, I stuck to the oceans as it offered the most safety. The other players hardly explored them, and this was long before hostile aquatic critters were even a thing. Incidentally, this is not the first time this tale was told. If one were to access the Path of Titans official Discord, under matchmaking playlist testing, you'd find the solo critter test voice chat. And then if you were to select the text chat associated with it, you would see from December the 27th of 2024 to March 20th, 2025, you would see that I treated it as a platform to tell of my adventures on the perma-death server. The story that follows is as it was written regarding the Legend of Bubba, and the events that led to my accomplishments that I didn't even know I was capable of. December 27th, 2024. had a lovely evening on the perma-death server. Highlight of it all was meeting and protecting a juvenile Spino at Frog Pond as a Sarco. Not sure if it was a Dasp or a young Tyrannotitan, but I gave his ankles a good thrashing. I have a particular disdain for those who kill the young without good reason. Personally, I would sooner eat critters, fish, or starve before attacking infants. January 7th, 2025. It was roughly 2 to 3 weeks ago. I was playing my adult Sarco on the permadeath map, and I had just arrived at Big Quill Lake with the hope of chilling with whoever I happened to run into. I had run into 2 other Sarcos in the rivers on my journey who had been amicable. But the Sarco I met at Big Quill Lake had other plans. We had met underwater in the northern part of the lake. With an upward jut of my snout, we both surfaced, facing each other. I gave a friendly call, and after a short pause, they started up their crushing bite attack, to which I immediately began my retreat. They were certainly committed to killing me, as I was chased all around the lake, dodging their attacks as best as I could. And I thank my lucky stars that I had the foresight to get Armored Tail as a physical attribute. When my HP was half gone and my stamina depleted, I had decided that if I was to die, then at least I would die fighting, as I turned on my pursuer. I had forgotten that I'd gone for a speed and maneuver build with my Sarco, and upon remembering this, I used this advantage to deal as much punishment to my enemy as I could. Before I knew it, my foe was defeated and weightlessly posed in the water, and I was left in disbelief with only a centimeter of HP remaining. I engorged my stomach with the remains of the offending Sarco before swimming to the middle island to hide and heal. My first time killing an adult carnivore, and I didn't bother with the trophy, since I'm not keen on leaving myself exposed to land predators while trying to reach a home cave. About an hour later, an adult Spino had graced the pond with their presence, and I made it my mission to befriend the semi-aquatic behemoth, since all previous interactions with Spinos had been very positive. Beneath the surface, as they quested, I called out to them with the subdued bubbles of friendship, and they stopped to stare at me. I appreciate the fact that the Spino had taken a bit more time than the Sarco in deliberating on whether or not to kill me. But their intentions soon became clear, as they made a beeline for me and bit clawed at my hide. Was on the retreat again as I discovered that the Spino was faster than I anticipated, but thankfully said Spino couldn't fit into the underwater tunnels that I could use to repeatedly halt their pursuit in future encounters. I decided to give the Spino the benefit of the doubt. Perhaps they had too many run-ins with toxic Sarcos, like the one I had met. I approached the Spino peacefully, again and again, yet to no avail. 3 times I approached in friendship, 3 times I was attacked. And so I decided that the Spino was no longer welcome at this lake. On our 4th encounter, I had taken my new enemy by surprise and laid into them with bite after bite. I broke off from my skirmish when only a third of my HP remained, as I merely wanted them to understand that I now posed a threat and would no longer allow their earlier gifts to go unrewarded. After healing for a while, I approached them again. Upon seeing me, they began to charge, but immediately hesitated, hearing my Sarco's roar of primal aggression. I charged, and our fight resumed, yet I broke it off again as death was not my intention. It was their eviction. The fool tried to rest at the lake's edge, and I showed very quickly why that was a mistake. Placing themselves in a more guarded position on the lake's edge, I decided to go hunting for fish, as my Sarco had grown quite hungry by that point. When I returned, the Spino was nowhere to be seen, and I had believed myself successful. Back to questing. I would still frequent the surface to scan the surrounding landscape, and lo and behold, I caught sight of the heavily wounded Spino slowly and warily making its way to the water's edge on the middle island where they'd been hiding. I wondered if they had the misfortune of meeting the hostile critters there. It was way too tempting, an opportunity to pass up another chance to express my dissatisfaction with the rude Spino. I hid around on the left side of the rock beneath the surface, waiting patiently for my foe to commit. And once they were far enough away from the safety of the island, I struck without mercy, dealing blow after blow. I believe that if the Spino had chosen to cross the inlet to the mainland as they originally intended, they would have more than likely survived. But they doomed themselves to a watery grave when they turned to fight. By this time, due to our previous engagements, I had grown quite competent in underwater combat, while my enemy could scarce land a hit on me. With the Spino defeated and locked into their aquatic death pose, I celebrated my victory by taking screenshots and feasting on the carcass. Before I fully healed, roughly 10 minutes after achieving victory, my third dance partner arrives. I hear the unmistakable sound of a distant creature swimming in the lake. Hazy at first, I soon make out the distant silhouette of a Suchomimus charging straight towards the carcass and myself. My first thought was, maybe they're hungry. But once I was certain they saw me, they headed directly for me, without slowing or showing any form of hesitation. So my next thought is, well, surely they can see my fallen quarry. Then I'm a force to be reckoned with. Or maybe they think I'm still weakened from the fight. Either way, this Sucho is coming in hard and fast for a fight, and we go at it till their body is covered in wounds, and I chase them to the shore, sending them running inland. I don't see them for another 7 or 8 minutes before they return looking for blood. And during the second skirmish with the Sucho, they must have forgotten which direction the nearest land was, because I managed to chase them down and finish it in the kelp forests just north of the middle island. It was an easier win, not as harrowing when I fought the Spino, but I still took screenshots. Never had I thought, in attempting to make friends in Big Quill Lake, I would have to kill 3 adult carnivores instead, with one being an apex no less. Thinking back, I strongly suspect that the Sucho was the same player who had the Spino trying to get revenge for killing his apex. The fact of the timing, the attacking without hesitation, and the fact I observed the Sucho swimming quickly in a direct line from northwest in the lake to the body of the Spinosaurus carcass was highly suspicious. That, and the fact that there seems to be a glitch where I can maintain 2 full-grown creatures on perma-death server, so it stands to reason that other players can too. Funny thing is, my sarchosuchus Bubba is still alive and covered on all manner of scars that never go away, and he's still trying to make friends. Usually, Bubba is content with watching other players finish getting a drink before revealing his presence and squeaking at them. A great many reactions are absolutely priceless. Sometime between January the 16th, 2025 and March 20th, 2025, the perma-death server was shut down. My final entry simply says, please tell me you guys are bringing this mode back. And I can only hope that perhaps someday Matt will grace us with this server again. I rather enjoyed it. But if not, well, at least we still have our memories.